Imagine being torn from your mother at 5 years old. Your sister sold away at 10. Your father disappeared in the night, never to be seen again. Now imagine spending your entire life wondering if they're still alive, and if freedom might give you a chance to find them again. For millions of Black Americans, this wasn't just a hypothetical, it was reality. Today on Aggressive Intelligence, we're diving deep into the story behind Black family reunions, how they started, why they mattered, how often they happened, and what they really meant after centuries of separation and survival. This isn't just about cookouts and t-shirts. This is about legacy, healing, and the fight to reclaim family in the aftermath of slavery. Under slavery, Black families had no legal standing. Marriages weren't recognized. Parental rights didn't exist. You were property, bought, sold, or traded like livestock. Slaveholders didn't care if a mother was nursing her child. They didn't care if a husband and wife were bonded by love. They saw only labor, only profit. Historians estimate that at least 1/3 of enslaved children were separated from their parents during slavery, sometimes more. Spouses were routinely sold away from one another. Siblings scattered to different plantations, different states, sometimes never learning one another's full names. And yet, through all of this, Black people fought to form families. They jumped the broom to mark marriages. They gave their children names that meant something, sometimes biblical, sometimes African, sometimes just beautiful. But the cruel truth remained. No matter how strong your bond, a single transaction could tear it all apart. When slavery ended in 1865, millions of newly freed Black people had one mission: find the people they lost. They hit the roads, literally, on foot, on wagons, with babies on their backs. Some walked hundreds of miles based on a rumor, a memory, or a name whispered years before. And if they couldn't walk, they wrote. They placed information wanted ads in Black newspapers, most famously the Christian Recorder, a publication of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. These ads were heartbreaking. I am searching for my wife Eliza and our son who was sold to Louisiana in 1854. Information wanted on my mother, whose name was Sarah. We were separated when I was 3. These weren't just notices. They were love letters across time, written in desperation and hope. Churches read them aloud during service. Pastors pinned them to bulletin boards. Congregations became news networks, passing stories and names like lifelines. But it wasn't just newspapers. Black folks got creative and courageous. Some joined the Union Army during the Civil War and used their travels to ask about lost loved ones in every town they passed. Others filed reports with the Freedmen's Bureau, hoping the government could help reconnect them. Families asked around in barbershops, churches, and train stations, clinging to oral histories passed down from elders. And many named their children after lost relatives, hoping that one day, someone might recognize the name. Eventually, some of these searches led to reunions. And those reunions weren't just private moments, they became sacred events. Once families were able to reconnect, they didn't want to lose each other again. So they started planning family gatherings, sometimes small, sometimes huge, but always powerful. These early reunions weren't about matching t-shirts or line dancing. They were about survival, restoration, and storytelling. At a time when the country still denied Black people basic rights, these gatherings were radical acts of love and defiance. Before we continue, if this story is resonating with you, if you care about uncovering the real history that schools left out, then hit that like button and subscribe to Aggressive Intelligence. We tell the stories that matter, the stories that were almost erased. Let's keep this legacy alive, together. Now back to the journey. Early on, reunions happened whenever people could reunite. No schedule, no planning, just gratitude that someone found their way back. But as Black communities stabilized during Reconstruction and beyond, reunions became intentional. By the early 1900s, some families began gathering every summer, often around church homecomings or harvest season. Later, during and after the Great Migration, Black families became more spread out. Between Mississippi and Chicago, Georgia and Detroit, Louisiana and Los Angeles. Reunions became even more important, and often scheduled every 1 to 3 years so families could save up and plan ahead. Even today, that rhythm continues. Every 2 years is the most common. Some reunite annually, especially if they're smaller or live closer. Others hold massive reunions every 3 to 5 years, with hundreds of relatives attending. The point isn't how often, it's that they keep happening. These events became rich with meaning, storytelling circles where elders shared what they remembered, who was sold, who escaped, who survived. Family trees drawn by hand, listing names that go back to the 1800s. Church services honoring ancestors with prayers and hymns. Cookouts, talent shows, softball games, t-shirt contests, and even scholarship awards for the youngest generation. Reunions became part celebration, part ceremony, part school. They preserved history that couldn't be found in textbooks. They taught kids where they came from. They kept family names alive. And speaking of names, many of the most common surnames in the Black community today were passed down from slavery. Names like Jackson, Williams, Johnson, Brown, Davis, Thomas, Harris, and Robinson. Why? Some enslaved people were given their enslaver's last name. Others chose a new name after freedom, sometimes to honor a famous figure like Washington or Lincoln. A few even kept their African first names or roots, though that was rare due to forced erasure. These surnames, passed down through generations, became a foundation for family identity. At reunions, you'll often see banners and shirts proudly declaring, "The Johnson Family Reunion, since 1868. It's a declaration that the family survived. Let's be clear. Black family reunions were, and still are, a form of resistance. In a country that tried to erase Black family structures through slavery, through Jim Crow, through redlining, incarceration, and economic hardship, every photo taken at a reunion is a quiet revolution. It says, we're still here, still loving, still growing, still connected. Whether it's in a church basement or a rented banquet hall, a city park or somebody's backyard, the message is the same: family matters. The next time you see a family reunion in full swing, matching shirts, lawn chairs, smoke coming off the grill, know that you're looking at something sacred. You're seeing the result of generations of struggle, searching, surviving, and storytelling. You're seeing the proof that what slavery tried to destroy, Black love rebuilt. If you found this story meaningful, share it. Drop a comment with your own family's reunion memories. And don't forget to subscribe to Aggressive Intelligence for more stories that honor our past and empower our future. Because history isn't just what happened, it's what we remember. And we remember everything.